According to conventional oncology, multiple myeloma is an incurable blood cancer. Yet, I was diagnosed in early 1994, over 25 years ago. Hi, my name is David Emerson, and I'm a multiple myeloma survivor and myeloma cancer coach. Spend the next few minutes with me, and I'll show you the pitfalls and traps of conventional oncology, those therapies, both conventional and non-conventional, that myeloma patients, survivors, and caregivers need to manage their multiple myeloma and quality of life in the weeks, months, and years to come. Pitfall number one. Before there's any discussion of staging, therapies, symptoms, side effects, there must be a discussion of the two overarching philosophies adopted by conventional myeloma oncology. The first one is referred to as the cure versus control debate. Do I, as a patient, attempt to cure my incurable cancer? The main problem is that curative therapies oftentimes lead to dramatic side effects, short, long-term, and late-stage side effects, some that can kill the patient. And yes, myeloma is considered incurable by conventional oncology. That's challenge number one. Challenge number two, the definition of evidence-based medicine. Conventional oncology considers evidence-based to be clinical trials. While clinical trials are important, I myself have learned that the definition of evidence-based must be broader. Whether it's epidemiological studies, in vitro, in vivo. I myself practice, again, the full spectrum of evidence-based medicine. My best example is a non-toxic nutritional supplementation called curcumin. If you look in PubMed online, you'll find, I think, over 4,000 studies studying curcumin in disease, whether it's cancers, integrative, or other health issues, depression, irritable bowel, etc. In my opinion, curcumin is an essential therapy in the care of multiple myeloma. As we progress through the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program, you'll see conventional therapies, discussion of conventional chemo, side effects, symptoms, etc., as well as evidence-based but non-conventional therapies. Pitfall number three is conventional myeloma oncology itself. While toxic chemotherapy definitely has a place in your therapy plan, depending on your goals, your choices, my experience is that oncologists are inadequate when it comes to explaining the good, the bad, and the ugly of conventional oncology. From conventional diagnostics such as blood work, imaging studies, genetic testing, the patient gains a sense of control by understanding what each of those tests means to them, how they can relate to their therapies and their health. The Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program explains each of those steps: testing, chemotherapy, side effects, benefits, pros and cons, new therapies, CAR T-cell. Is this for you? Could this be for you in the future? Where does it fit in to your therapy plan? Do you need an autologous stem cell transplant sooner, later? Your response to induction therapy largely determines the importance of an autologous stem cell transplant sooner rather than later. Some myeloma patients even consider an allogeneic stem cell transplant. Some do both. The Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program provides information, studies, and coaching regarding every single aspect, pro and con, of conventional myeloma oncology. I think the strongest aspect of the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program is pitfall number 4, evidence-based but non-conventional myeloma therapies. From evidence-based complementary to evidence-based integrative to evidence-based alternative therapies, the myeloma patient, through the Myeloma Cancer Coaching course, will gain a thorough understanding of those therapies that conventional oncology takes a negative view of. And yes, this is a pitfall because discussing these therapies with your oncologist can be difficult. For the record, I encourage all patients to discuss all therapies with their oncologists. It's possible that he or she will say, nutrition, eat what you want. The Myeloma Cancer Coaching course will provide studies, lessons, ongoing communication regarding the importance, the anti-myeloma importance of nutrition, supplementation, complementary therapies, whole body hypothermia, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, all those therapies that the myeloma patient needs to manage his or her cancer in the weeks and months and years ahead. Lastly, keep in mind, I myself, after about 3.5 years of conventional myeloma therapies, induction therapy, an autologous stem cell transplant, remission, relapse, radiation, another remission and relapse, and there's nothing more we can do for you. I then began an alternative therapy for about 17 months. I went from end-stage myeloma, a great deal of bone pain, bone involvement, to complete remission. It's essential for myeloma patients, survivors, and caregivers to understand evidence-based, complementary, integrative, and alternative therapies. Pitfall number 5, communication. One of the greatest challenges faced by myeloma patients is communicating about their myeloma. One of the challenges of conventional therapy is that once therapy concludes, your oncologist, chances are, moves away. That's not to say he or she won't talk to you in the future. I'm simply saying you'll see them less and less. The challenge for you then is to talk about your myeloma experience, large issues, small issues, side effects, therapies, remissions, relapses, with people with knowledgeable myeloma survivors. Certainly local support groups can provide a certain amount of interaction, but there's nothing like the international worldwide reach of an online group. Facebook has its limitations. This is an online group, a closed online group, the membership of which is approved by me. No one can participate, no one can read the posts, no one can comment on the posts other than those people approved by me. All members of the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program automatically receive an invitation to join the closed online group, Beating Myeloma. I look forward to working with you on the closed Facebook group. Discussing palliative and hospice care along with multiple myeloma is not as much a pitfall or a trap as it is simply a taboo subject. And while I have very little experience with hospice care and multiple myeloma, I do think hospice is something to understand, something that's thoroughly discussed and covered in the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program. But in the case of palliative therapy, I do have personal experience. I underwent palliative radiation after about 2 years of my conventional therapies, and the radiation nuked my myeloma. I was experiencing a great deal of bone pain at the time. The radiation stopped that bone pain and enabled me to research, travel, and find other therapies that ended up curing my multiple myeloma. The Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program discusses thoroughly both palliative and hospice care for multiple myeloma patients. The last section of this video is what I refer to as the tough questions section. Just read 4 tough questions and give you my answers. Question number 1. You're not an oncologist. What do you know? That's exactly true. I'm not a board-certified oncologist, nor am I a board-certified hematologist or anything. I'm a long-term myeloma survivor. It's been more than 25 years, and I have experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly of all forms, the full spectrum of myeloma care. I've read hundreds of studies, and I've blogged hundreds of times, and I have condensed, taken all of what I do and why I do it and put it into the Multiple Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program. I think it's extremely useful for newly diagnosed myeloma patients, survivors, and caregivers. Question number 2. If you care so much about cancer patients, why not give away the program for free? That's actually probably the most common question. There's a great deal of free information on the internet about all manner of cancers and chronic diseases. 2 answers. First, the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program is, as I mentioned, the summation of years of study and writing. And it is what I do, or why I do it. But probably the most important thing is that the small foundation that I run, People Beating Cancer, a registered 501c3, while we don't have many expenses, we do have annual expenses, hosting fees. We have one paid staffer. I don't get a paycheck, never have. So all of the proceeds of the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program goes to supporting people beating cancer and the work that we do. 3, if I buy your program, will I be cured of my multiple myeloma? I can't promise a cure. No one can. What I can promise is that the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program is what I do and why I do it. As I say, hundreds of studies, blog posts, everything I do and why I do it. As I mentioned before, I think conventional myeloma oncology sells you short. I think we patients need more, and the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program contains that more. Last question. What happens if I don't think the Myeloma Cancer Coaching Program is for me? Simple answer. People Beating Cancer offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. I believe there have been 3 or 4 members over the past 2 years of my cancer coaching who have asked for their money back, gave it back, no questions asked. I do not want to work with patients who are not satisfied or are not happy with the program. In particular, the closed group called Beating Myeloma is an ongoing forum for members to ask questions large and small, everyone newly diagnosed, survivors 1, 2, 3, 5 years. I don't want to work with you. You don't want to be there if you're not enthusiastic about the program. So, 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. Thank you for your time. Let me know if you have any questions.